but you can see what they did and why it did what it did.
Yeah.
And plus 2 actually affects the first number. So
Mhm.
next time when you see that number, it's going to be N plus X.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it's been fun. It's been real fun.
Are the challenges, I'm assuming, just infinite tries, basically?
Yes.
Yeah.
Infinite tries, but you can't move on until you get, what it wants.
Yeah. But
So-
I mean, having that trial and error feedback kind of style, that's useful.
A lot.
Because eventually you don't get that. Eventually you just get it broken. I don't know why. But
Sorry. All right, so I've got the recording going.
Okay.
So I know y'all all love the witty banner you get at the beginning of my recordings. Maybe, maybe not. So today I want to do a couple of things. I actually have 3 things that would be great, but I don't know that we'll get through all of them. So I want to introduce you to turtles. I want to also go back and hit some more stuff about loops a little bit. But we're going to do turtles and idle. So we're going to let Zybooks sit for a minute, a hot minute anyway. But that being said, there's a method to my madness, and like we talked about earlier this week, I think I'm going to start giving you more of the Tracy written labs than the Zybook labs, since they seem to be getting a little crazy, crazy, if you say so. So anyway, they're getting a little. I don't feel like the directions match the level of what they're asking you to do sometimes.
Well spoken.
I mean, after I look at it and figure it out, I go, okay, yeah, I understand what they're asking, but
Did they tell you how to do that before that?
yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about turtles and idle. We did modules. So turtle is a module in the Python standard library. We're going to import it into our code, and then we're going to be able to have turtles. And turtles are cute. Everybody knows what a turtle is, right? So this PowerPoint, I will make it available to you in WordStend. So you'll be able to go and look up, use this to look up things. I think these links work. Yeah, hey, the link actually works in this PowerPoint. Did it right this time. So if you use the link from the PowerPoint, it takes you to the Python standard library, and you can see all the different things you can do with your turtles. Turtles have a lot of stuff. We won't use it all, but there's a lot of stuff. So I'm gonna leave that minimized down in case I need it. Maybe I won't need it. Maybe I will. Sometimes I forget things. Mold. So turtles is a graphic module that will create a window and a small sprite that models a turtle, and you can draw with your turtle. So the turtle has a tail. If you tell it to put its tail up, it doesn't draw. If you tell it to put it down, it's kind of like putting the pen on the paper, and then it starts drawing. And I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because I want to get to actually coding with you. So some really quick things. If you have idle already open and you want to try it, you could do this in your idle. Create a new file first. Don't do it. Don't do it in the shell window. New file. You can first line every time import turtle. Always put your import statements at the top of the file. That way you don't forget to put them there when you get ready to use whatever module you're going to use. And I can find them. So there's going to be a little bit of difference here that we haven't done yet. So I'm going to call it out specifically. The second and third line on this slide actually creates objects. And we haven't really talked about objects yet. We'll do some more of that actually in the next, we'll do it in depth in the next chapter. But we're using an object-oriented language. So what we do is we create objects and those objects do things. Right? So in this case, we're creating a screen object and a turtle object. They both are created using constructors from the turtle module. So we use the keyword turtle, because that's the name of the module, dot screen with a capital S, because capitalization means what? It's important, it's reserved, it's special. So because we're using a constructor, they usually start with capital letters because they're creating an object for us. Does that make sense? They're the cookie cutter on the day that we're making cookies. And each of the cookies, once you decorate them, become individual objects. Does that make sense? So the constructor is the cookie cutter that creates the shape of the cookie, and what we add to it, to the cookie itself, makes it unique. So we can give it a name, that would make it unique. We can give it some other features, data, something specific to it.
What
So
is the turtle usually? Object.
it's an object. It's a graphic object, so it's going to draw on the screen. So the window is the screen the turtle is going to draw in. So we have to create that first. Window is its name. It's a variable. You can call it Bob. You can call it bibbidi bobbidi boo if you want to spell bibbidi bobbidi boo out every time. But I really, really encourage you to use variable names that are meaningful. We need a window for our turtle to go in. So I'm going to call the window, right? I have seen when people are doing turtles, they call it world because it's the world the turtle lives in.
Screen could be another one.
Screen could be another one as long as you do it lowercase and not uppercase. But I wouldn't hesitate to say to do that because I don't like to mix them up. So window, world, whatever. So then I'm going to create a turtle using the turtle constructor with a capital T. And I named this one Alex because Alex works upstairs and it was just a name that popped in my head and it was short. You can name it Bob, you can name it George. When I taught high school, I had a lot of Tommies the turtles and Timmy the turtles because they all started with T's. And my brother's name's Tommy, so I like to pick on him. Anyway, so you can name your turtle anything you want to. You can have multiple turtles in your window as long as they have different names. Because if they don't have a name, and you can create a turtle without a name, but if you don't have a name, you can't tell it to do anything. So it just sits there in the middle of your screen.
Enjoying life.
And well, I don't know if he's enjoying life or not. He's immobile. He's non-functioning. So always name your turtle. Always name your window because you need to get back to that window sometimes. So then our turtle can do things. It can call functions. It can move forward. It can turn. And those are the two things we're going to do most of the time. It can change its color. It can change its shape. It's all sorts of things your turtle can do. But the big things we're going to do today is we're going to learn to draw with it. So we want it to move forward and we want it to turn. Right? So forward needs a distance. In this case, I have 150 in there. Somebody's like, what's that? Oh, that's a big number. It's really not because we're talking about pixels. It's going to move 150 pixels on your screen. And a pixel is a little teeny tiny dot. So if you put 10 in there, you're not going to see that it actually moved. You need to put a significant number of pixels in there to be able to see the movement. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because a letter on the screen, the lines the letters are probably wider than a pixel. Yeah, so easily. When we're telling it to go left or right, those are turns. It has left and it has a right. And the number inside the parentheses this time is how many degrees you want it to turn in that direction. So think about back to your high school math days where you had the coordinate system and you put the little square.
Sideways, sideways.
Oh, did they? Okay. Just remember, it's whatever degrees you're turning in that direction. You could put negative in if you want to go in the other direction. But at that point, you might as well use
The other direction.
function. Yeah. But that being said, so objects have attributes or properties. Those attributes and properties are the things that make them unique. Like a name. If we were doing a student object, it would be a name, a 917 number, a grade. Those would be unique. They have actions, which are the functions and the methods. I interchange the terms function and method because in Java they're called methods, in Python they're called functions. They're basically the same thing. Attributes usually declare the state of the object. So, you know, is the turtle's tail up or down? That would be an attribute. So, like I said, the turtle API, you use these links, it'll take you to the turtle APIs. Let's make sure it works. Hey, yay, batting 1,000 today on links. So the first thing I like to do is I like to change my turtle shape, because if you use the default shape, you get the little triangle icon. But if you actually change the turtle shape, whatever its name is, dot shape, and in quotes, put turtle, it'll change it to a little digital turtle. Kind of cute. I think it's kind of cute. Turtles know things about themselves. It's part of their attributes. They know where they're located in the screen. So you can actually have a command that will return the X position or the Y position of your turtle. Why do they know these things? Because they need to keep up with where they're at. How are you going to tell it to move if it doesn't know where it's at and how big its world is and where it can go? And I know I'm going through this really fast, but like I said, I want to start coding. So you can change its fill. So if you use begin fill and you draw a box, once it closes the shape, it'll fill it in whatever color you got active. This comes in handy when you're drawing things that you want colorized, right? Like I said, the shape, you put a name in there. It has a go-to function, so you can tell it to go to a certain coordinate in your window. Just give it the X and the Y value. And like I said, it can return where it's at. So let's go write some code. Let's go write some code. So let's see, where'd my, y'all can't read that because it's way too small. Can you read it now? Okay, so in this case, I named my turtle Bob because Bob is 3 characters and it's short to type. Can you read it back there? Needs to be bigger. There you go. How about that?
That's good.
So,
Are you sure?
so we're going to create Bob. This assumes you already have created the screen or it's outside the Zoom window. We're going to change Bob to a shape that we like. We can change the shell and the feet color. So, you know, red and blue. Why did I pick red and blue? Because that's the school colors. Right. We can tell it to pick its tail up where it stops drawing. We can move it to a space, so forth. So I'm going to do that real quick and idle, maybe. Potentially.
Oh, it's not there.
And you're all going to get mad at me because I copied and pasted and you don't have the slides. Actually,
Reach first thing.
I'm not going to forget the first thing. That's not what the first thing was. Save as. I always want to save things because it just makes my life easier. First thing we're gonna do. What did I tell you the first thing we were gonna do was? We're gonna import it. Thank you. The import is orange, so it's a keyword. I love that it highlights these things in colors for me. Then I'm going to create my screen or my window because it was not in what I copied and pasted. And then I'm going to put in what I copied and pasted, maybe. This time the quotes worked because the word turned green. I don't have to go fix them. So if I run this now, it should open a window, should put me a turtle in it. It should change the turtle to a turtle. I'm going to comment that one out for a second because I want to show you what it looks like if you don't change the shape. I'm going to comment this one out and this one out for just a second. All right, so I'm going to run that. And it opened this window, right? See? If you don't change the shape of the turtle is that little triangle in the center of your screen. Always initially, I'm going to comment some lines out again because I want to, oops, I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to show you what each line does individually. So if I just put the turtle on the screen and pick its pin up, the turtle always starts off in the center of the screen. The center of the screen is at 0, 0. The coordinate X is 0, the coordinate Y is 0. It always starts off facing that direction, which is, if you're, I don't know if it's east or not. If you're looking at it, it's facing to the right. If you're,
Up on the X.
this is the way it was programmed. It was programmed to face that way. I wish that little window right there would go away. So let's change its shape.
Stream's still going.
I hope so. That's a problem. All right, I hope it's recording. If not, I'll have to go do it at home again. So if I run this again, let's get rid of that for right now. If we run it again, now when it draws it, my turtle is blue with a red outline. Yes, sir. Oh, yeah, sorry. Just keep yelling at me till I remember to change the font size where you can actually see it. Is that better? All right, so now we've changed the shape. We can change its color. I don't particularly care what color you make your turtle. It's up to you completely. You can leave it black, which is I think the default color. If you make more than one turtle, they usually the next one starts in a different color where you can tell them apart. So if I wanted Bob to have a friend, I could put Alex in as a turtle too. And because I haven't done shape and color for Alex, Alex will still be a triangle, right? I haven't done anything to it. But when you have Bob, go to there so everybody can move. So, oops. I can't type today. You have to actually spell turtle correctly for this to work. It's amazing how that works. So now I have two turtles on the screen. The blue one is Bob. The black one that's not shaped like a turtle is Alex. That makes sense? So I can make them move any way I want to, but I have to call them by name when I do it. So go-to had Bob. Too many windows all of a sudden. So Bob also started in the center with Alex, but the commands go so quickly and he moves so fast, you don't actually see him move to the go-to location. And I picked his pen up so he didn't draw me a line. All right, so he can turn 180 degrees. He can move 100, oops, wrong, delete. He can move forward 150, and then we're gonna have him turn 90 degrees and go forward again. So when we do that, he moves around. Now, we never told him to put his pen down, so he didn't draw me a line. So we need to put in a pen down before we start drawing, right? So Bob got down means that he starts drawing. Oops, wrong button. And why is it drawing in red? Because it was the last color we used, because we told it to make the outline of the turtle red. So our lines are red. You can actually change the red color and the lines if you want to. It doesn't look red on this screen, but on my screen it's bright red. But I'm gonna let y'all look that stuff up in the API on how to change colors and things, because I want you to start using the API. He's traveling. You can go any way you want to.
Technically, we can do circles
Well, sort of circles.
somewhere in the API.
Yeah, there's a circle function in the API. So
So we have the API, but
that's why we have the API.
it's in there somewhere.
So I'm going to make these all visible so you can see them in case you want to do it at home. But I have this exercise that I usually do with my other classes. It's a non-zybook based lab. So we've already done this. We're going to create, we call it, I did not make this lab, but the professor did, calls it turtle box trot, because the turtle's making boxes and kind of dancing around while it does it. But basically this walks you through how to make the turtle draw two squares right next to each other that are 300 pixels wide. And when you do it, you have a lot of code. Look at there, we actually gave you the code for part 1. Needs to be bigger. I can make it bigger. Maybe. Y'all should be able to see it now if you reload the content page, those files, if you want to grab them. I just turned them on where you can download them. I know this has points in a lab and stuff on it. This does not mean that you have to turn it in. This is for explanation only or examples only. So teaching purposes this time. Like I said, we've already started a lot of this, so it tells you where to take the turtle to. It tells you how to draw a square, and if you scroll down far enough, all the code is actually there for it. But what I want to talk about are these two sections here that are repeating the same lines of code over again, right? This is where I want you to learn how to put a for loop in. Because if you're drawing a square, you're drawing 4 sides. You might as well use a loop, right? You're doing the same thing. You're going forward, turning 90 degrees, going forward, turning 90 degrees, going forward, turning 90 degrees. And you can do a loop for it. So that was my goal, was to show you how to do that. How much time do I have? About 30 minutes. So let's talk about that. Let's go back to our turtle over here. And I'm gonna just put a comment in here that says, draw box. And that's just for me where I can differentiate what I'm doing. I'll put a whole lot of blank spaces in here to get it back up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and use Alex this time, just because, I don't know. She seems lonely, standing in the middle of the screen, not doing anything. So I'm gonna have Alex pick her pen up. I'm gonna have Alex move to, or go to, negative 300, 300. Now, why did I pick negative 300, 300? Because, through trial and error, I already know this, that the corner here in this screen, the top left-hand corner, if you're looking at it, is at the location in your screen, negative 300, 300, because if you imagine that there's an x-axis and a y-axis through the center of it, the negatives are to the left-hand side, the positives to the right-hand side, and positives are on the top and negatives are on the bottom, based on our geometry and coordinate system math from middle school and high school, right? Why did I know it was negative 300, 300? Trial and error. You just kind of have to guess and then figure it out. There's no great logic on this. So back to my code. So I'm going to have Alex go there, and then I want him to draw a box. I want the box to be 300 pixels wide, and I want it to have 4 sides. So I'm going to do it in a, well, I'll do it both ways first, I guess. So Alex is going to go forward 300 pixels. Now I got to turn. Now Alex is facing the positive or the right-hand side of your screen. So which direction does Alex need to turn if she's facing that direction? Right or left? There, left. The turtle's right or left. So the turtle's going across the top of the screen towards the right. Wait, so I need to turn 90 degrees to go down. So which direction is that? Right or left for the turtle? Right. So I want to do a right hand turn. And I want it to be 90 degrees. Right?
Correct.
Correct? Yeah. We should use correct when we're talking right and left. Now, that's one side. Don't do that. That's one side. And then I need another side. Oh, good Lord. The best laid plans do not work.
Enemy, right?
Yeah, something like that. So we need 4 sides, right? So that's a lot of code. Correct?
Yeah.
And I copied and pasted it. You can copy and paste it. You can type them all out. But it actually would be a better idea if you used a for loop. And then tab those over and get rid of these. Oops. Got rid of all my white spaces. Brought it up to the top of the screen. Did you make your turtle go off the screen?
Yeah, he went way off.
If you put too big a number in here, or you have your turtle move too often, it will leave the screen. So be careful. So if I run this now, Bob does his little L. And Alex did stuff, but we can't see a box. What did I leave off? What did I forget to tell Alex to do? Put his tail down. So I'm gonna go back over here before the for loop and have Alex put his tail down. And I'm gonna tell you, with the turtle drawing process, that is one of the most common mistakes that you will have. You will forget to pick the pen up, or you'll forget to put the pen down. The great thing is every time you run it, it starts over with a clean slate. So you see, Alex is now back exactly where she started from, right? So if I wanted to put a box that started here, right next to it, then we would need to reposition Alex before we started, right? So where do I need to reposition them to? So if the original box started at negative 300, 300, and I want to draw one right next to it, and the box was 300 pixels wide, then I need Alex to go to we're going to go to 0, 300, because the X number comes first. So we're going to move the negative 300 position 300 pixels over. So negative 300 plus 300 is 0. And we didn't go up or down, so the Y value stays the same. I feel like I'm teaching geometry a little bit again, but it happens.
It's like geometry every time this lab comes up.
Yeah. And guess what? I want to draw this box again. So I'm going to go up and highlight it and copy and paste it and run it. And in the next chapter, I'm going to teach you how to make functions, and I'll have you write a function called draw box. And every time you want to put a box in, you'll just call the function draw box. This is when it starts getting fun for me, because it all starts coming together and you can put the pieces together.
That'd be nice.
It's also just a visual thing.
Well, this one's very visual, yeah. So does that help? Does this lab help you more than Sideways?
Don't ask, yes.
Okay. I'm not sure that. You could,
Amen.
it could be a serious question.
Can you go back to the other, I want to see that we were talking about the parameters over here for a second.
This,
That part,
yeah. So are we good with our introduction to turtles? So I did 2 things here. I gave you an example from the for loop, but I also showed you how to do something we call refactoring code. I typed all the lines out. It was a lot of code. It was messy looking. And then I went back and changed it into a cleaner, more readable functionality by using the loop. Anytime you do something like that, it's called refactoring. And refactoring is something you're going to do a lot. The more you learn, the better your coding style is going to be, and the more changes you're going to want to make to your older code to make it look pretty. And that's okay. We encourage it. We also encourage something called the dry principle. Huh? Yes. Do not repeat yourself. DRY. Do not or don't repeat yourself. So if you have code that is exceptionally repetitive, you probably need to refactor it and use either loops or functions, which we're going to learn more about next week, to make it cleaner and not so repetitive. Why? Because if you use loops instead of repetitive code, it actually is slightly faster because the computer is processing it differently. Right? And speed does become a factor when you start doing things like video graphics and video games, huge databases, time-sensitive stuff. Ask Garrett over here, he's in some of the database classes. If
Don't
you,
ask me.
you want it to be as quick as possible, because when you start processing millions of records, it takes a while.
Yeah, Python uses just in time.
So that's kind of my spill on turtles. And I did over here give you 3 new files. Oops, let me make that one visible too. The lecture 3, part 2 is iteration. It's talking about dry and refactoring and giving you some more for loop examples. Please feel free to go through it and look at it, see if it helps. If it doesn't help, that sort of thing, let me know. I'm trying to give you as much information as I possibly can to help yourself. But use what you want of it, ignore what you want of it. It's completely up to you. It's just like these videos that are getting little to no traction sometimes, and sometimes they get a lot. They're there for you to use and go back to. I have been updating grades. I will say that I am shocked by how many people have not turned in all their work. So that being said, please check course in gradebook and make sure that you are doing as well as you think you are. Because some people I've talked to this past week seem shocked and amazed that their grade is not good when they have several missing assignments. And if you remember my syllabus, it says that I do not take late work unless you have a doctor's note, a pre-arranged condition with me, like you got with me as an I'm on military drill, which did already happen this semester and won't be available that week. Absolutely going to take your work late because that's important. And really outside of their control, they don't get to schedule a drill. Positive COVID test will automatically get you an extension because we're still doing COVID procedures.
Or something, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a week or until you show a negative test. I don't know. I'll work with you if you're sick, but you have to prove it to me that you're sick. Don't just say, I can't tell you how many times this semester, not just in this class, but in all my classes this semester, that I have gotten the excuse of, oh, I forgot that was due today. Can I have another day? Or, oh, yeah, I got busy doing X, Y, Z, and I didn't do your homework. Can I have an extension from 2 weeks ago? Oh, I thought I took your test, but I actually took somebody else's test. Can you reopen it for me? Oh, I appreciate the honesty that you didn't lie to me, that you didn't, try to pull the I was sick, whatever. But
I'll make you a note.
for a lot of you guys, I know you're freshman, sophomore, not him, he's not. Or you might be dual enrolled. This is not high school. There's no do-overs. There's no extensions.
There's do-overs. It's in the form of the next semester.
Yeah, do-over here means that you take the whole class again.
It's gonna cost you.
And unless you're a dual enrolled student, and that doesn't actually cost them anything, but you only get so many classes you can withdraw from as a dual enrolled student. I will remind you that withdrawal date is March 3rd. If you feel like that you are in a situation where you can't get out, I highly suggest you withdraw rather than taking an F in my class. If you are unsure on whether or not you are able to get caught up and do well, please use the link to make a virtual or in-person appointment with me, and we'll sit down and discuss it during office hours, one-on-one, and see where you're at. Now, that being said, if you feel like you have a legitimate excuse that I didn't cover, please make your case. Never hurts to ask. I'm not promising that I'm giving you an extension, but it never hurts to ask to make a case, because sometimes there's situations out there that I haven't thought of. But let me know. Legal, if you had to go to court, if you had jury duty, anything that legally Don't make that joke. I've actually had a student email me that before. I have seen that.
Maybe don't bring that one.
Well, that's up to you if you want to bring that up. But see me if you have a problem. Online students too. If there's something going on in your life and we need to talk. I had a student who actually lives out of state in Texas when they had all that ice storm. And they're having to get electricity. That's a valid reason for me to give you an extension.
Yeah.
When you live in a city that the national news has told me that you have zero electricity for a week, I'm gonna be a human being and give you an extension for it. So that being, okay, sorry, I got off the beaten track. Anybody have any questions about what we covered about turtles and stuff? Please, in your free time, if you have free time, go download the directions and work through it. It also has a couple of more examples where you use a list and a for loop together, or you get input and you create car prices and averages and stuff using a for loop. So look at them, see if it's something that is helpful. Look at the PowerPoints. The extra PowerPoint does have some more for loop examples that I think are clearer than the Zybbook examples. After this chapter, because I've already assigned the labs and stuff for this chapter, after this chapter, I will start giving you probably labs that I create instead of the Zybbook labs. You still will have to do the presentation and some of the challenges, but you will be doing my labs instead of Zybbook's labs. Which means Garrett's job over here is going to get harder because he's going to have to grade. But
8 more hours.
so that's it for today. I know I got on a soapbox about grades and stuff, but I really hate for anybody to not do well in my class.